Yeah, I see a lot of people. Yeah.
It's good. It means that the invitation actually works.
Yeah. Okay.
We also started the recording, so we're ready to go when ready, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we can start.
Hello, Dr. Feng. How are you?
Yeah. Yeah. Good morning. Yeah,
Good morning.
director or friend from WI. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Hello, everyone. Good morning or good afternoon. I think to all of you. Let's start meeting. Dear colleagues, dear friends, my name is Wen Jin. I'm Chief of Asia Pacific Unit of the World Health Center. I'm very pleased to welcome you all at this information session organized by the World Health Center's Asia Pacific Unit as an early presentation of the upcoming third cycle of periodical reporting in the region. The main participants are the national focal points from all the 44 state parties to the 1972 World Heritage Convention, colleagues from UNESCO field offices, the advisory bodies, ICOMOS, IUCN, and ICROM to the World Heritage Committee, and also the Category 2 centers under the auspices of UNESCO, WETRAP, HASTE, WII, to mention but a few. At the risk of reminding many of you of the obvious, there are two main monitoring mechanisms for the 1972 World Heritage Convention. The first is reactive monitoring, which is as a process for monitoring the state of conservation of World Heritage properties, and of which we saw many examples during the World Heritage Committee sessions to discuss the state of conservation of first the properties inscribed on the list of World Heritage in danger, we normally call 7A, and also the state of conservation of properties on the World Heritage list, we call 7B. The second monitoring mechanism is periodical reporting, which is the statutory requirement under the World Heritage Convention, in particular Article 29, and the resolution of the 11th session of the General Assembly of the state parties, where the state parties are requested to submit to the UNESCO General Conference through the World Heritage Committee on legislative and administrative provisions they have adopted and other actions which they have taken for the application of the World Heritage Convention. So I think this will go into details. And of course, I think for through the process, the periodical reporting is state party driven exercise, and it means it's a primary responsibility of state parties to do the self-assessment on the application of the convention at the national level, and also review the state of conservation of at the site level for those culture and the natural heritage sites inscribed on the World Heritage List. Through the process, the World Heritage Center coordinates and facilitates the periodical reporting process at the global level, and state parties may also request expert advice from the World Health Center, UNESCO field offices in the region, and the advisor bodies. So periodic reporting is an important tool for many reasons. First and foremost, it allows us to have a detailed picture of how the convention is implemented across the world and how our World Heritage properties are doing, especially those who do not undergo a regular review by the World Heritage Committee through the reactive monitoring process. Today, we will review what is the periodic reporting, what has been done so far in the region, the current third cycle of periodic reporting, and finally, review key information everyone should know before the launch of the exercise, which we scheduled for the 1st of October, very soon. So I think with this brief introduction, to start with, I pass the floor to Mr. Anadol Oday Diagdet, who will provide you with further background on the periodic reporting exercise. So thank you all for your active participation in the process. Anadol, you have the floor. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Fang. Just to begin with, thank you very much to everyone who's joining us this morning. I'd like to very briefly introduce our periodic reporting team. I am myself the focal point for periodic reporting in Asia Pacific, along with my colleague Akane Nakamura, who is the focal point with a particular focus on natural heritage. We are very lucky to be joined by Valentino Etovar, who is the focal point for the entire periodic reporting exercise at WHC, along with Michel Venn, who is our very trusted helping hand at APA for all matters relating to PR.
Anatol,
yes?
we cannot see the presentation. If I may, sorry to interrupt you. Yeah.
Okay.
So I can see the presentation, so it may be a delay. Just a quick show. If you cannot see the presentation, please mark it in the chat, and we'll try to continue slowly so that it loads.
Okay. Let's.
Yeah, now it works.
Perfect. Okay. Let's hope it continues working. It's the great pleasure of working in 2020 is also technology. Our team at APA is, of course, going to be supporting all of you throughout the exercise. Roland Lin, Nao Hayashi, Kazuo Nakatani, Gil Bailey, Sachiko Haraguchi, and our crucial unit assistant, Ms. Yandel Perez. As Feng mentioned, we are covering today what is periodic reporting, what has happened so far in Asia and the Pacific, what is specific to the third cycle, how we use the questionnaire, and all of the resources, tools, and capacity building materials that have been made available. So, without delay, let's have a quick look at what periodic reporting is. I'm sure that many of you know this already, so apologies for any obvious statements that I'm about to make. But as Feng mentioned, periodic reporting is one wing of two processes that the World Heritage Committee has to monitor World Heritage properties. On the one hand, reactive monitoring, which is what happens at committee sessions, notably, where we review any issues or problems or questions that may have arisen at specific properties, and then periodic reporting, which has the benefit of covering all properties and all aspects of the properties, including all of the things that go well. It is a requirement under the convention. As you can see on the screen, Article 29 tells us that states parties shall give information on the legislative and administrative provisions which they have adopted and other action which they have taken for the application of this convention, together with details of the experience acquired in this field. And so in this spirit, we conduct this global monitoring activity on the implementation of the convention. And it is, as Feng mentioned, a self-reporting tool, which means that you get the pleasure of doing a great deal of the work, and we then come and have a look and help you along and analyze everyone's answers and produce outcomes together, which we'll look at in more detail. The main aim of the exercise is to assess the implementation of the convention in each of the states parties and to determine whether the OUV has been maintained at the property level, which is one of the key questions. It is also a fantastic mechanism to improve regional cooperation and networking and to help update the overall information that the center has on all World Heritage properties and all changes that may have occurred. It is carried out on a region-by-region basis. The Asia-Pacific region is the third region to undergo the exercise. It has been preceded by the Arab States region and the Africa region. And it is also a tool to promote cooperation in between the regions and to address at the same time the specificities of each of them. I see that there are raised hands. Just for your information, we will have quite a decent amount of time allocated at the end of our presentation for questions and answers. So write your questions down and feel free to ask them at the end of our presentation. Thank you very much. It involves a number of key actors, notably you as national focal points for World Heritage. You have been designated before the start of the exercise. It also involves, very importantly, site managers, who also have been, I think, for the overwhelming majority now, identified for every property. And it involves, of course, the World Heritage Center as the coordinating agency, and very importantly, our field offices, the advisory bodies to the World Heritage Committee, the Category 2 centers under the auspices of UNESCO, and of course, all of the bodies and the organizations or individuals with whom you will have the opportunity to exchange in the process of this exercise, namely civil society, local communities, and any other organizations. We have identified successfully all of you before, so my little warning here is now out of date. Our role at the World Heritage Center is perhaps a little bit different for this cycle compared to previous ones, for those of you who have already participated in one of the previous two cycles. The idea was to put more control in your hands and to make this truly a state party driven process. We at the World Heritage Center will ensure that there is a holistic approach that is applied across the region, that the process is well coordinated, and we have developed, as we will see later on, a number of guidance tools. We will also be responsible for analyzing all of the data that you provide us and to present the results of this analysis to the World Heritage Committee. The process for periodic reporting is relatively straightforward. In the first instance, which is the phase that we're in right now, reporting occurs in the regions. And so every region of the world fills out the questionnaire. They submit it as a second time. Then the results and the data gathered is analyzed and put into regional reports. Excuse me.
Yeah. I think a small problem. Yeah.
Yes. So go ahead and retake control. I think one of our guests have taken control. So Anatol, you can.
Okay. Right. There we go. Can you see the presentation now?
Yes, I
Perfect.
can see it. No problem.
Thank you very much. Okay, so regional reports, which are presented to the committee in a third time, which are then followed by regional action plans, which are presented and adopted by the World Heritage Committee. And then, of course, in between each cycle, as our last orange step, there is the implementation of the action plans, which you will have prepared and agreed upon, and which will have been adopted by the committee. And in between two cycle means anywhere from 6 to 8 years, depending on the duration of the reflection period. So it's a very important aspect of the priorities related to World Heritage for the regions, the sub-regions, and the national levels, because the action plans cover all aspects of this. The periodic reporting exercise is subdivided into two sections, one at the national level, which is section 1, which is filled out by national focal points, and a section 2 at the property level, which is filled out by site managers, validated by you as national focal points before submission to through the online system. Then there are a number of key areas that are covered by the exercise. State of conservation, of course. We have added in the revision for this questionnaire a number of very important aspects that are related to the Sustainable Development Goals. These are transversal questions and they're very clearly indicated in the questionnaire. Synergies between conventions have also been a focus for this exercise, along with questions of governance, management, and capacity building. And this results in a set of indicators which help with the analysis of the data that you provide. So once you have done all of this work and you've filled out the report and you've submitted it, there will be a regional report. This will be presented to the World Heritage Committee. It is the synthetical analysis of all of the data that you have provided, which will show the main challenges faced and the trends related to the implementation of the convention. It is prepared by us at the center in consultation with you, and it is presented to the World Heritage Committee. The other big thing that we will all produce together are the regional action plans, which set the priorities for the implementation of the convention and translates the data and the information that we've gathered into concrete goals and a concrete timeline. The third cycle has started, as I said, in 2018. We are therefore the third region to undergo it, and we are exactly in the middle of the process. I will then pass on the word back to Fang, who will explain to us what has happened so far in Asia and the Pacific, and what will happen for the third cycle.
Thank you, Anadol. So I just want to check it. So for the opening speech, I saw my mic was turned off. So
we could hear you perfectly fine.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. So now with this, so far for the Asia Pacific region, in fact, the first cycle of periodical reporting launched in 2000 and is now in its third cycle. I think it's quite clear as we presented. I'm very happy to have ensured supervision and coordination of this exercise for the Asia Pacific region over the past 20 years. So I think now the first cycle we completed between 2000 and 2003, and through the process, the action plans were developed for the subregions for East Asia, the Pacific, South Asia, and Central Asia. And also there are sometimes separate action plans by typology, means either for natural heritage or for cultural heritage. So if this resulted with a publication and World Heritage Paper number 12, and then between 2010 and 2012, these go back. The second cycle of periodical reporting was carried out, and also resulted the next slide. So resulted in the adoption of the sub-regional action plans. the Suvan Action Plan for Asia, and also the Pacific Action Plan. So I think for the Pan-Asia Suvan Action Plan, which includes some 21, I think some regional priorities, also the sub-regional ones developed by the participating countries. I think it's really important that also there are some priorities, I think, shared in the region, like community involvement. This is something of particular importance for the region because the fifth C community was resulted in a series of workshops in the Pacific. So, and it was adopted in Christchurch in New Zealand in 2007. So I think that is an important point for the community involvement. Another priority is the regional gap analysis and the thematic studies on tentative list. So for that, I think thematic studies being carried out for rock art, for other types of cultural or natural heritage, I think cultural landscapes also. These are the important follow-up actions. For the Pacific Action Plan, I think, which was originally developed in 2009 and was revised and extended for the cycle of 2010 up to 2015, and the current one is also being updated for 2016 to this year. I think there are a total of 11 main actions and 19 regional activities. I think that particularly thanks to the efforts of UNESCO APIA, we've been implementing the Pacific Action Plan in conjunction also with the World Heritage SEAS program, Small Islands Developing States, thanks to the efforts of my colleague Sachiko Haraguchi, and also colleagues in the UNESCO APIA office. So this action plan for the Pacific been actively followed up and implemented. Next slide. Yeah, I think the publications as the main outcomes, of course, as Anadol summarized, I think through the exercise, we also be doing a regional synthesis report as a working document to be presented to the committee. Apart from that, a group of the regional experts and also mentors from the advisor bodies and also some colleagues from UNESCO field offices will prepare together with this group of mentors or experts the publication, because at the World Heritage Center we have the World Heritage Paper Series. So for the first and the second cycle of periodical reporting, as you can see, two publications, World Heritage Paper number 12 and World Heritage Paper number 35 were produced. And particularly, I think for number 35, with support from Japan Founding Trust, we also produced a Russian version with specific attention for countries in Central Asia. I think this is something also important. Of course, some of the areas of improvement for the region was that I think at the site level, development of management plans, and also national funding, foster sustainable funding mechanism for World Heritage conservation, community involvement and benefit sharing. I think this is still a valid point up to date. And of course, regional cooperation on the development of networks and professional exchanges between countries and also site managers. I think that is also something ongoing with the Wet Traps initiative. So this is the next slide. Yeah, so now with the summary of the two previous cycles, for the third cycle, of course, the reporting started in the Arab region. Africa launched the last year. And for us, we are doing it now in September this year. So, and of course, the official launch by very soon, by next week. The cycle will cover the period of 2020 up to June, July 2022, where the World Heritage Committee will be examining the regional synthesis report and with also some concrete action points. Next. Yeah, I think for the exercise, we will have the section 1 on the application of the convention at the national level. So this will be concerning some 44 state parties. But through the exercise, also with the active involvement of my colleague Michel, we are also engaging some 2 remaining state parties in the Pacific, Tuvalu and Nauru. So in the hope that they can also benefit from the periodical reporting exercise. Now, for section 2 on the periodical reporting on the state of conservation at the site level, so the current exercise will be covering 264 culture and natural heritage properties in the region. So I think those will be, so next slide. In brief, a total of 308 questionnaires will be submitted by all of you, and also with the involvement of the site managers through the online system available at the World Heritage Center's webpage. So next one, and then as mentioned earlier, so the official launch will be on the 1st of October. No, I think this year, not 2021. I think they're small typo. So this year, and we are aiming for the submission of the section 1 information, the deadline by end of January next year, so 31st of January 2021, and for section 2 about around March. No, sorry, next slide. Yeah, end of March 2021. So with all this, I think we hope that the next slide, the final deadline for the submission of the questionnaire will be at end of July next year, 2021. So I think this is, of course, the as mentioned earlier, the examination will be at the 46th session of the World Heritage Committee in 2022. Next slide. Yeah, so that I think that is the sort of the overall summary of the exercise. Then the next one, the rules and the responsibilities. For the third cycle, of course, click. We have the national focal points. I think you are all invited for this information meeting. So your role will be to complete the section 1 questionnaire on the application of the convention at the national level, and also validate this section 2 submission by the site managers. And of course, then you click and validate, submit the questionnaire to the World Heritage Center. Then the site managers, they will be completing the information of the questionnaire on section 2, and of course submit for validation to the national focal points. So I think many of you are also aware of this role through our circular messages. The role of the World Heritage Center is coordinate overall coordination of the exercise and provide guidance, resource materials, and the training to all of you, and also the site managers. And I think, as you can see already earlier with the team, I call the magic team, the help desk for the online questionnaire will be ensured by my colleagues of this core team. Next slide. Yeah. Then we also, I think, in the Asia Pacific region, we are lucky. We also have 15 UNESCO field offices present in the region. So their role will be assisting with the communication with the state parties, because for the implementation of the World Heritage Convention, the UNESCO field offices already played a very active role in all the World Heritage activities. And also, of course, they will facilitate and provide content support for national focal points, and if necessary, for site managers. Then our category 2 centers, I think we have the availability of 3 centers I mentioned, wh-periodicreporting, WII, HASTE. So they will be the resource centers for specific questions, like for natural heritage, it's the WII, Wildlife Institute of India. Urban heritage, whole historical urban landscape recommendation of UNESCO will be wh-periodicreporting based in Shanghai, Beijing, and Suzhou in China. And of course, if it's on space technology, I think HASTE, the International Center for Space Technology on World Heritage, based in Beijing, will be available. Of course, they also provide substantive support for the national focal points and site managers. Then the advisory bodies to the World Heritage Committee, their expertise are available because I think they provide the recommendation to the World Heritage Committee. Of course, for the periodical reporting exercise, the technical support and expertise will be important. And also they will provide substantive support for national focal points. So I think for the previous cycles, all the field office colleagues or category 2 center experts and advisory body experts, we will select some of them to compose a mentors team, because this team will make analysis of the submission of questionnaire and prepare the regional synthesis report, and also if prepare the main contents for the publication to be produced. Next slide. Yeah, so I think we have the mid-cycle review. I think verify the submitted questionnaire and check in with state parties for inconsistency. So this will be carried out through my team at the Asia Pacific unit, and also Valentino at the policy unit of the World Heritage Center. So key dates for the reporting period, I think already mentioned earlier. So just repeat again here. For 1st of October, so next week, we will do official launch, and then the submission of the information. Yeah, I think the important part for this exercise, it's really now we are in the 21st century with the new technology. We can get this Teams platform, thanks also to the active sort of initiative by my colleague Michel Van. So we established the Microsoft Teams platform, in particular for the current periodical reporting exercise. And then we can provide content and substantive support, the resource materials and the trainings and online sessions that like what we are doing now. And also we can do that different sessions by themes or by categories, I think, depending on the need throughout the exercise. So next slide. Yeah, okay, now I pass the floor to Anadol, who will give you some key information on the collecting of the exercise. Thank you. Anadol, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Fang. Just a quick word to come back for a second on our schedule, because this is an important piece of information. So we are launching the exercise next week, and we have added, for everyone's convenience, before the big submission deadline at the end of July of next year, two preliminary deadlines, which will allow us. Sorry, my presentation jumped, which will allow us to work together with the advisory bodies, with the field offices, and with the category 2 centers on having a quick look at the information that has been provided so far and making sure that there are no lingering questions. And this is why we have these two sort of in-between early completion deadlines. 31st of January for section 1, which concerns you directly, which is on the implementation of the convention at the national level, and 30th of March for each individual questionnaire about World Heritage properties. Excuse me. And so this will allow us to collaborate between all of us on how we manage the exercise and how the information is provided. We will be able to give you feedback and we will be able also to answer any lingering questions that you may have. Now, on the topic of using the questionnaire itself, there are a couple of important developments that have been made for the third cycle, should you have done previous versions. Otherwise, these are important aspects of the new questionnaire in any case. They concern sustainable developments, synergies, the question of monitoring indicators, and the various materials that have been made available for all of you to help and support you during the process of filling out the questionnaire. The first important aspect is sustainable development. As I had mentioned earlier, these questions are highlighted by the little icon you see next to the title. They relate to the SDGs of the United Nations, and especially relevant for World Heritage is SDG 11, where countries have pledged to make cities and human settlements inclusive, safe, resilient, and sustainable. And in particular, target 11.4, which aims to strengthen efforts to protect and safeguard the world's cultural and natural heritage, which is obviously at the very core of the World Heritage Convention. So these questions that are relevant to this will be highlighted in the questionnaire, and we will be reporting on them specifically in our reports, because this is part of also our work and very much our priorities at UNESCO. So we encourage you to pay attention to this, and I'm sure that many of you are working closely with these tools and questions as well. The question of synergies with other conventions, we will come back to this throughout the exercise. It has been a big priority for us as a convention to show that we are not an island isolated from everything else, but to really go and look in detail how our World Heritage Convention interacts with other conventions. You know, we have enshrined this, or rather, committee enshrined this in the operational guidelines for the convention. And this is something that we very much look forward to discussing in more detail with all of you. We will do a specific session on this at some point, because we do have a number of both culture and nature conventions that we can interact with. All of the UNESCO Convention, the 54 Hague Convention, the 70 Convention on illicit import, export, and transfer of cultural property, underwater heritage, intangible heritage, and the diversity of cultural expressions. There are, of course, the matter of the biodiversity-related conventions, which have formed a group called the BLG, Biodiversity Liaison Group, which is not just us, but also the Convention on Biological Diversity, the CITES Convention, the CMS Convention, the International Treaty on Plant Genetic Resources for Food and Agriculture, the International Protection Convention, the Ramsar Convention, and the International Whaling Commission. And all of these you will have an opportunity to report on any interaction that you have with these various conventions or commissions or institutions, and how that may affect the management of World Heritage at the national and local levels. All of this comes together as an analytical framework with monitoring indicators. If you have a look over the next year or so at previous reports, and also at the reports that might be published for the regions that have been undergoing the third cycle of the exercise, you will see how this comes together. This really does help us have an overall view of how the convention is implemented within a region, but also at the global scale. And this will be extremely helpful for us to address at really at the scale of the convention, the needs and the areas for improvement, and also the very positive things that have happened for all of us. The questionnaire itself is structured to collect a great deal of data, and I would encourage all of you to contact as many people as necessary to obtain this data as early as possible. For the part that concerns national focal points directly, we will go over statutory information. We will go over synergies with other conventions. We will have a look at inventories and tentative lists. We will have a look at nominations, policies, all questions related to resources, policies that apply to World Heritage. We will also look at international cooperation around questions of heritage, and we will have an opportunity, and this is very important to us, for you to submit good practice examples from your countries. Sometimes these have a harder time than we'd like reaching us at the World Heritage Center, so we've decided to use the periodic reporting exercise also as a way of collecting all of the good work that is done at the national and property levels, and to share this, with your permission, with other states parties who might benefit from it. Section 2, which we will have to validate, is structured much more around the property itself, which means that it also goes over statutory data. It very importantly goes over the statement of OUV and its conservation and preservation. It notably spends a good deal of the questionnaire looking at factors that affect the property, at protection and management mechanisms that are in place, but also at resourcing and all of the other aspects that have to do with the management of World Heritage, be it questions of research, of education, but also very practical aspects such as visit management, monitoring of the state of conservation of the property, the management needs, and we will also ask for some information on the impact that the inscription on the World Heritage List has had for the property itself. And same thing, should site managers have good practice examples to share, they will have an opportunity to do so, and we very much look forward to it. As I said, you have between now and the 31st of July to complete the questionnaire, but I would strongly encourage that you start working on filling it out as early as possible, so that you may contact and ask questions and get in touch with all stakeholders, including civil society, that are involved at the local level, and with all of your partners that are involved at the national levels, who may help you gather the data that is necessary, verify things, provide additional information. And so the earlier you start, the easier it will be for everyone down the line. The questions that are asked in the questionnaire, should you not have had the opportunity yet to peruse it, our Chief Fang Jing sent you a link a little while back to a demo version of this questionnaire, but the questions range from very simple yes/no question to slightly more complex questions. There are some relatively simple and straightforward questions on sort of factual information, are you party or not? Or is it in progress, for instance, for a specific convention? There are also a good number of rating scales, which go from 1 to I believe, 4, which is a 5 scale, so from 0 to 4, where you can rate the levels of involvement, you can rate the effectiveness of things, etc. So far, the input is relatively straightforward for you. There are as well some simple questions where we have provided in the system a lot of information for you to choose from, and statements that you select or agree with. There are as well some opportunities for you to explain or provide additional information that you feel was not covered in the answers that you have given. And we have quite a lot of comment boxes to that effect. We have Yes, we have, if you look at the top of the screen here, next to the question number, you have something called guidance. This has been, a lot of work has been put into this in between the two cycles so that you'd be ready for you now. The guidance is available at all times for you. Apologies. The point of the guidance is to make information about the question that you may not have had or that may require looking up and make it available at the touch of a button. So if you click on the guidance, you will immediately have an explanation of the question as well as a list of key terms. These are also links, and there will be a definition for these key terms for the convention that will show up or that will be made accessible to you through the online system. So as you fill it out, you have direct access to information that is relevant for you to fill out the question. This is also available separately should you want it as a PDF. It exists, but it is most importantly within the questionnaire. It will always be available to you as you answer things. Some questions are very straightforward. Some questions are a little bit more technical or very specific to the World Heritage Convention. And so we wanted to make it as easy as possible for people to answer the questionnaire and to have all of the information that they need to do so. And as you can see, for a specific term, notably, as Fang mentioned earlier, one of our strategic priorities of the committee, communities, if you hover over the word communities, there will be a box that pops up with the official definition, with the implication, and all of this has been prepared by us with a team of experts and is made available to you in the questionnaire and separately as well. And I believe that I can now talk to you a little bit about questions relating to tools and resources, which is directly linked to what I've just mentioned. The questionnaire is available online. It is at the email address that has already been shared with you. It will be shared with you over and over again, but it is whc.unesco.org/EN for English or FR for French, if you prefer, /periodic reporting. The third cycle has its own platform. If you follow the website, you will be guided through this, and you will need to log in with the login that will be provided to you at the launch of the exercise. You do not have it yet, and that's normal. You will be given the login as we start the exercise. Then you can log into the platform for the third cycle, and you can access the questionnaire. As you can see, it's the screenshot in the middle. The little yellow box is where you will need to fill out the information. You will be given an identifier and a password by us, I believe. We have, on the other hand, made available to you at any time on the website a set of training materials, including videos that explain the periodic reporting process, probably much more nicely than what I've done here, and section 2 specifically of the questionnaire for site managers, which can be, has been so far also very helpful. Should you wish to translate any of them, they're very short, they're a couple of minutes, please do let us know. We're very happy to have them subtitled for you, I believe. We can double check that with my colleague Valentino, but I think that we have the capacity to do this for you as well. There are a number of training materials that have been shared with you already that are available on the website. That is the handbook for site managers. It's also been sent to many of you, I believe, through the permanent delegations to UNESCO. We have sent many copies to them. So you should have or be getting one soon. And the point of these was to describe in a nice, user-friendly way the objectives, the process, the format of the exercise, what is important. And I believe that there are a number of national language versions that are currently prepared, Chinese being one of them, I believe that Asia is preparing one, etc. We strongly encourage you to translate the handbook and the questionnaire into national languages. This is extremely useful. And helps a lot with the quality of the answers that we get. We know that because the questionnaire only exists in English and French, it can limit accessibility to some degree. So in order to get the best possible answers, it's very useful to have them translated. Fang already shared with you Word files. They will also be available online on the Teams platform. And yes, please make the best possible use of them. That is possibly one of the most useful things that you can do, in addition, of course, to actively participating in the exercise. We've already shared with you the periodic reporting curriculum, which are 4 online modules that have been prepared. They are a capacity building tool. They have been developed to facilitate the training of all those involved in periodic reporting, and it draws on a lot of resources, and each module has a specific aspect, deals with the information at the national level, the property level, etc., and it's a fairly comprehensive curriculum, but it has the advantage of being entirely self-study. It's essentially PowerPoint presentations that guide you through all of the information that you need to know, and you can ingest this information at the speeds that is most practical for you. As I said, the webpage and Cycle 3 platform are where you can find all of this information at any time of the day and night. It is regularly updated as new resources become available, and this is where you will find access to everything. So this is all on the World Heritage Center's website. In addition to all of this, you will see that there are a couple of additional publications. There is a frequently asked questions guide that is also available online, that will also be made available on the Teams platform. And there is a list of key terms, which is the excerpt from the guidance that I mentioned earlier, which is therefore available as a separate PDF. And so all of this should already answer a lot of questions. Of course, if there is any other lingering question, you can always ask us at the World Heritage Center. We do have a help desk for this purpose, but do have a look at these resources ahead of time. And I will now pass the word to my colleague Michel Venn, who will talk us through the questions of resources and tools and what we have done to adapt to the very particular setting of this year, given that we have not been able to see you all in person during meetings, so how we are trying to get this personal connection and appropriate tools as well to help you the best we can. Over to you, Michel.
Thank you, Anatole. Suresh in chat has he has the foresight to ask the right question. So are we using Microsoft Teams for the whole of the cycle 3 of periodic reporting? So what I'm here to explain is that due to COVID-19, we essentially have had a drastic shift in how we have to do our capacity building for periodic reporting, which means that we've had to shift to a completely online mode of transfer of knowledge. Now, while the periodic reporting cycle will be done primarily on the website for periodic reporting, the periodic reporting platform on the World Heritage website, we want to ensure that we supplement this with online tools that gives you access to contribute and interact with each other, as well as the center, Category 2 centers, field offices, and advisory bodies. This includes having a central location where all sorts of videos, guides, documents can be made available, as well as specific sessions or meetings that you may not have been able to attend, or for example, this meeting will be put into this platform. Of course, independent activities are encouraged within the Teams platform to ensure that you are taking on the responsibility of the periodic reporting cycle in your country. Next slide, please. So I will briefly explain to you how to access the Microsoft Teams platform, and then I will also show you what it looks like. So after this meeting is done, my job will be to send out invitations to all of the national focal points who are taking part in the periodic reporting cycle for World Heritage. We are focusing solely on national focal points because there is a limit to how many people can be in one call, and since there are so many sites within the Asia Pacific region, we want to make sure that the national focal points are given the resources to then return back to their site managers with information needed. So the first step will be access to the Teams platform, which is more than just a video conferencing tool. So a Teams owner, in this case, the World Heritage Center, or in this case, it'll be most likely be an email. The presentation dropped. If I could get it back, please. But essentially, there'll be an invitation that is sent after the meeting, which asks you to join the Teams platform. It may drop into your spam email or whatnot, but you should expect, at least within a day or two, an email for the Teams platform. Once you receive this email, you will go ahead and click on the link that says join World Heritage Periodic Reporting Cycle 3. Once you have clicked on this, excuse me, it'll ask you to open Microsoft Teams, and then it will then, if you don't have a Microsoft account already, you will be asked to create one. You click next, and then you create the account. What this does is it creates a specific account for you to access all of the resources. Next slide, please. Then you'll if once again, if you don't have a Microsoft account, you click next, you create your account with whatever email you are more comfortable with. Next slide. And then you'll create a password, whichever one you're more comfortable with, but please something that you can remember. Next slide. It'll ask for your country, region, and birthday. If you don't feel comfortable with adding your real country name or birthday, you can put something that is reasonable, that is not your country and or your birthday. The only thing I would suggest is keeping the country or region, since it will help with the connection abilities. Next, please. Once you have sent this information, they'll ask you to verify with a code. You'll receive another email which gives you a specific number or code. You then, next slide, will take this number and then input it into the platform. As you can see here, once you verified the email, you then click next, and then you should be registered. The presentation has dropped again, but thankfully, at this point, you would be able to access the Teams platform. And from here, I will demonstrate what it should look like. I will take over for a moment. Let's see. So once you've reached the actual platform, you should see something which looks something like this. Here you would have access to the World Heritage Periodic Reporting Teams platform. Here you will have access to not only a place where you can ask different questions, you also have access to all of the videos from previous sessions, as well as general information that we will post, and introduction messages which essentially show that you have arrived onto the platform. Here you also have access to the same files that you would have access to online, as well as the demo sections 1 and 2 for the periodic reporting questionnaire. Then you can use this as a way to give an idea on how you would be able to answer your questions. So I will switch back now to the presentation. Now, this is very much a supplemental tool. The Teams platform is a supplemental tool to aid you in gaining all the research that you need. Yes, we're moving the PowerPoint now. But essentially, the Teams platform is where the most important thing for anybody in this call is that all of the video recordings of all of the sessions that we have online will be saved on this Teams platform. This is because sending this much data consistently is a challenging. It's quite challenging to do that for every single individual. So we want to make sure that there's a central location for these videos. Um, uh, so who does this give access to? Next slide. Thank you. When right, so I'll quickly answer the question in chat and then continue with the presentation. When would we be able to access the Teams platform? As soon as I'm able to give you access, which means after the meeting, I will sit down and I will do my best to send you all access, all the national focal points access, and essentially after everything is done here, I will send those emails. If you are not unable to do that, please send me directly an email asking for an invitation. So everybody who has access to this includes the national focal points, which is you, field offices, category 2 centers, and advisory bodies. We will not be giving access to site managers due to the fact that we want to make sure that the national focal points are able to inform their site managers depending on their national context, and we want to make sure that the information is filtered and direct to the people who need it. We will have bi-weekly training sessions, which means that after the start of the exercise, every Thursday for every 2 weeks, we will have essentially 1 hour of office hours where you can come and you can ask questions or we will present discussions on specific subjects, which Anatol will briefly go over in later slides. This means that we will have flexible content and timing depending on what you need as national focal points to make sure that your job is made easier. As I mentioned before, recordings of all the trainings will be made available on the Teams platform. And this is all to encourage that this is a state party driven exercise, which means that you have the tools needed to do what you need. And once again, because of the mass amount of people that we have within the region, we would like to focus our efforts to make this a training of trainers approach, where we train you to then train others. And in this sense, it allows for a growth in terms of understanding of world heritage within the region. Next slide. I apologize because I was a little bit ill, so I believe I switched to you now, Anatol, correct?
That is correct.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, so the idea to have these online sessions every 2 weeks to guide and address the reporting process was really a response to the fact that we did not get to hold the in-person meetings that we had planned, where we would have met with you for a couple of usually 3 days, and we would have gone through a lot of things, and we would have answered a lot of questions, and we would have had a lot of opportunity for exchange and inputs from various specialists on specific questions. And since the COVID pandemic has not allowed for this to happen, we wanted to have an online equivalent. We don't want to put anyone through 3 days of looking at a screen in one go, because that is just not humane. And so we decided to split up this information to give you this introduction today and make it available throughout the exercise, but also to address specific questions and to respond to questions that you raise throughout the exercise. And our idea was that we would dedicate an hour every other Thursday morning at 9 a.m. Paris time, and possibly at other times if it's more convenient for some of you, to answer the questions. The idea is to make the exercise practical and available to everybody, and to have a supplemental library of training materials and video on demand as well. All of these sessions will be recorded, and they will be available for you to watch at any point, whenever is most convenient. When we are also aware that internet access and data availability vary a lot depending on where you are in the world and time of day, and all of these other factors. So all of this will be hosted in Microsoft Teams. And then we have a series of small training sessions that have been planned at the beginning on a number of topics, and we're very, very happy to adapt to what you need, because this is a state party driven process. And so we are very, very happy to take your suggestion on board. In fact, we welcome them greatly. So for now, our idea is as follows. You will get invitations. We will try to send them a week in advance for the training sessions, to give you the time, which you already know, and the topic of that session. I think it's important that we have a couple of deep dives, as we would have in person, into each section of the questionnaire. I think would be very useful for all of us to have a look at the action plans very specifically, to see what has been agreed upon by you or your predecessors, and what will need to be reported on. I think one of our key points always needs a little bit of brushing up on, namely outstanding universal value, which is the cornerstone of the World Heritage Convention, but is always a source of interesting discussions, because it has so many different applications and is so specific to us. Our colleagues have very kindly agreed to do a section on boundaries, maps, and the retrospective inventory, which is a very important subject for us and for you, namely so that we all agree on what is the World Heritage Property, where does it begin, where does it end, and what is in it, and what is in the buffer zones, and so on and so forth. And so there are a handful of important aspects that we are very happy to share, and where we would welcome a discussion. My colleague Akane Nakamura will lead a session on reporting on natural heritage and all of the specificities linked to this, which will include also the synergies between conventions, which is an important aspect of our reporting, as already mentioned. And we are very happy as well to have a number of specialists on specific issues such as historic urban landscapes and the 2011 recommendation on the historic urban landscape. So these are some of the ideas that we have had so far and that we would like to implement between now and essentially the end of the year. If you have suggestions, please, please, please do share them. If you have any needs that would benefit from a short explanatory session for everyone, just send us a message through the Teams platform, propose it, and we will do our very best to either answer your questions directly or do schedule a session with us and colleagues and answer it for the benefit of everybody. I'd like to take this opportunity as well to say a special word of thanks to our two Category 2 centers, WH-Trap and HIST, who would have been important partners for some of our workshops in person, and who have very kindly agreed to provide content support for this exercise as part of their role as Category 2 centers under the auspices of UNESCO. And I'm very grateful for their commitment to this and for the help that they will provide in their specific areas, and as well to WII of India for capacity building on natural heritage. And I very much look forward to all of the help that they can provide to all of you as national focal points, and indirectly to the site managers. As Michel said, this is very much a training of trainers approach. Unfortunately, we don't have the capacity to bring along all the site managers for all World Heritage properties across all regions on board for this sort of training. So we rely on you to share this in any way that you can. All the materials that we make available to you, you feel free to make available to site managers. Share the videos from the Teams platform, share the PDFs, send them online to our website. All of this is really, really meant to be shared. We are not proprietary about our knowledge and our tools for this exercise. It's really, really meant to be shared with everybody. So please do so. Do send us suggestions. And I believe that the time has now come to open up the floor to you. All the team is here online to answer some of your questions, anything that you may have about this exercise. So I look forward to hearing your questions. Fang, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, thank you, Anadol. I think really I would say it's a magic team, and although we are facing this COVID-19 pandemic, the team worked very hard to adapt to the situation, and also in a sense design the online training materials, and also thanks to the PSM team, particularly Valentino, to get all the sort of resource materials and handbook. 2 points quickly. One, I think Anatol mentioned that new development for the current cycle. We all know that the globally the 2030 agenda for sustainable development, which is really a focus for all the international cooperation activities. I think similarly for the current particle reporting exercise, where we also, I think on that, in particular in the framework of the World Heritage, have this 2015 policy document for the integration of sustainable development into different processes of the World Heritage Convention. I think this can be important, in particular for national focal points, where you are doing a self-assessment on the application of the convention. Also, at the UNESCO level, we have the UNESCO policy on engaging with indigenous peoples, as also other related policies and documents, in particular that relating to the international human rights standards. I think these sort of policy documents and also orientations need a reflection at the national level. That's the first point I want to make. Secondly, I think for the third cycle of periodical reporting in the Asia and the Pacific region, we are really lucky that the government of Republic of Korea, through its funding trust available at the World Heritage Center, in particular for Asia Pacific region, made available some funding for organizing the training and capacity building activities for the periodical reporting exercise across Asia and the Pacific region. So Anadol just mentioned we planned some activities in collaboration with the Category 2 centers based in China, and also some other activities being planned for India, with India, our field office in New Delhi. But I think due to the current COVID-19 pandemic situation, we really have difficulties in conducting and organizing these activities. So instead, I think this the suggestion of this bi-weekly, I call it either being brainstorming or training or debriefing. It's a useful way using the new technologies such as the Teams to get across the message and also share the knowledge. I think that is the 2 point I just want to stress before we go for the interaction of question and answers. So thank you all for your active participation. I noted we have around over 70 participants. It's really a good sign for this warming up exercise on the launch of third cycle periodical reporting in Asia and the Pacific. So I'll stop here. So the floor is yours. Anyone who want to ask a question or make a comment, please raise your hand. I think you can note in the system there is a hands up sign there, so you can use that. Thank you. Who want to be the first?
Please take this opportunity since we are here and available, especially since we're launching next week. So if you have any questions at all, please ask.
Hello.
Hi.
Yes, hello?
We can hear you. Please go ahead.
My name is Dr. Tahir Saeed from Department of Archaeology and Museum.
Just one moment. We can hear you.
We appreciate. First of all, thank you very much for joining us and holding of this periodic reporting for
Apologies, we can hear you, but it's coming in and out. If I could ask everyone to turn off their cameras, it will help with the connection. Thank you. Please start again.
Okay. So
Go ahead.
hello.
It should be good.
Good morning. Good morning. Can you hear me, please, sir?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. Thank you very much. So I am Dr. Tahir Said from the Federal Department of Archaeology and Museums, Islamabad, Pakistan. And first of all, we are very thankful for organizing this information and the third cycle of periodic reporting for the Asia and the Pacific region. So it will be very helpful and to discuss a number of matters which are, due to pandemic and the situation, we are not in touch with the other resources. For it is very good opportunity to discuss a number of matters, and we will extend our full cooperation during these question and answer sessions. And today is the first day, and we will continue in participating from Pakistan, and Mr. Arshadullah and me will be attending this session next, and it will be very helpful to formulate the situation. And in current situation, there are some questions, and we will discuss, especially for the third cycle of periodic reporting, and some matters about the World Heritage sites in Pakistan, because these are scattered in the different regions, and the situation about COVID-19 is different from region to region. So it will be very helpful, and we will ask you some advice also, and hopefully we will cooperate and with each other, and we will go ahead on this UNESCO's very important meeting, which is scheduled for the third cycle. So I think it's introductory, and we will discuss in later on next time. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, sir. I think it's yeah. Who is raising the hand? Let me see.
Krista, I believe.
Yeah, Krista. Yes.
Sorry, I think I pressed it by accident. Apologies.
No problem.
Yeah.
Valentino, I see that you wanted to take the floor. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much, Anatole. Just want to talk to you on the launch on the 30th of September. So you will receive an email from the World Trade Center, and you will need to give you the indication on how to access the questionnaire. This email is meant for the national focal points and site managers. And in order for you to access your questionnaire, you need to create a password. So within this email, you will be able to access the questionnaire and you need to create your own password. Please note that the World Trade Center does not create any password for you. You will need to define your password yourself. In case you lose your password, you will need to create a new one. This is what I just want to point out for the next week when we will send you the email concerning the launch of the exercise in the region. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Valentino. Now I see the representative from Timor-Leste. Sir, you want to have a floor? Romero, Timor-Leste. Yeah.
Hello, good afternoon from Timor-Leste. I just want to ask you if you please explain, or better, send us the instruction of how to create a Microsoft account so we can able to access all documents which are available in the Microsoft Teams platform. Thank you.
Sure, I'll take a moment for this one then.
Yeah.
Okay. In short, you will receive an email. You'll receive an email which has which will have the basic instructions. Basically, the email you will have to wait for is one that says join on Microsoft Teams, and then normally it should guide you through the instructions on how to create the account. Now, if it doesn't, I believe that all of the national focal points should have the emails for the periodic reporting team. So if you do have issues connecting to Microsoft Teams, you are more than welcome to either send me directly an email or the team an email. But it's also should be noted that in terms of the critical information that you need for periodic reporting, all of that is available on the World Heritage website, on the third cycle of periodic reporting, and this access will be given in the launch next week. In terms of Microsoft Teams, which is a supplement to all of the information we are giving, this gives you access primarily to the recordings of the sessions, and this will be sent out essentially right after the meeting. Otherwise, please feel free to send us an email. I hope that explains as best as I could.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. I see Sanjay Kumar has raised a hand.
Hello, my name is Ure. The
Hello.
research of the training, the management of a software Hawaiian cultural landscape, World Heritage Site. Please watch this post again. Maybe when do we able to access this Teams platform, or when do we able to create our account after this program?
Yes, very briefly, for Teams, I will be spending my morning and afternoon sending out invitations to the Teams platform, and you should receive them in your email. If not by this evening, you should receive them by tomorrow morning. If you haven't, please send me an email. My email, I believe, is in the chat. And otherwise, please note that this is not access to the actual periodic reporting platform, which is what Valentino mentioned earlier. The periodic reporting platform access will be given next week, and a separate email will be sent to you all.
I see Tun Sawan.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Are you speaking?
Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. So good afternoon from here. So I am Mr. Thong Sawan Kamanichan from Laos, the Plain of Jazz, or the POJ, Plain of Jazz World Heritage Sites that just inscribed last year, 2019, from Laos. So yes, thank you for the presentation here. Actually, I try to follow up this as much as possible. And then, as you know, somehow as you see, the connection is not good here, and it's missed some points. So I would like to ask you if later on you can send the email of the presentation to us, maybe through some of our colleagues in Bangkok, and then they can send us like the Mali. And also, our office is still new, just established this year or a couple months ago, and many of our colleagues are Lao people, so it's quite difficult to read the language of English in terms of the manual or the presentation or the handbook that in the third cycle of reporting here. So may I know if it's possible, since we still have a limited resource here in terms of the translation of these handbooks or the relevant materials into our language, in case that many people in our colleagues can help together in working on this. Thank you. If it's possible, kindly let us know.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. I think Michelle already indicated that the presentation will be made available Also, the information session of today has been recorded, and this will also be uploaded on the Teams platform. Is that correct? Yes.
Yeah, and
Okay.
I will just add on quickly. So while the presentation and the video recording will be accessible on the Teams platform, the field offices and Category 2 centers also have access to this platform. So if there is any difficulties with the transmission of data or whatnot, you will still have access to people who have access to this platform, but the idea is to ensure that you are able to access this as well.
Okay. The other question, I mean that can the World Heritage Center does the World Heritage Center have any fund or money or something that can support us to translate the handbooks or anything that related to this into Lao language? I mean, so since we don't have the fund yet, I mean that if you can have small fund or grant fund, that can you help us in terms of this? I mean.
Yes, I would suggest that, under the World Heritage Fund, we have the international assistance that is open for all the countries. I think you need to check the requirement for submitting international assistance request. I think the deadline is end of October. So if you need, so if you need the support, you also have to put forward your application. It's also online system. There is an online system, and you can also submit the signed form for processing. So that's a process.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Then I will consult with the other colleagues who have the experience on this. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Anywhere else? Don't see. The representatives of the advisory bodies, you want to speak, or I see quite a number of colleagues there. All field office colleagues.
I think while everybody's thinking of questions to ask, I think I'll take a moment to add that if there are any concerns with regards to periodic reporting, please be sure to email us, or once you're connected to the Teams platform, message us, and we will do our best to respond to any questions that you have after the meeting.
Okay. I didn't see any sign of questions or. Okay, I have a simple question. Is the presentation clear to you? Have you got the message? Yeah, if there's no answer, I think so that is quite clear. So anyone else who have any questions or comments on the periodical reporting exercise? I think we can discuss now, or since we are establishing this online platform, the Teams, you can post your questions or your comments through the platform, or if you want to just write email, I think you have all the emails under the who's who at the World Heritage Center webpage for the whole Asia Pacific team. So I think it will help you to also to provide you some assistance or guidance. I think that that'd be the way. So any other questions or? Yeah, please be quick. Otherwise, I see. Okay, Huang. Yeah, from Hanoi office. Miss Hong, you want to speak or not?
Question. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Can you hear?
Yes. Please introduce yourself. And yeah.
I am Arshadullah from Pakistan, Federal Department of Archaeology.
Yeah.
A bit earlier, my senior colleague Dr. Tahir Saeed also introduced himself. So after going through all the modules, I think in the next meeting we will be able to raise some genuine questions regarding this reporting.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. I think that's pertinent point. So I think with that, if there are no more questions, or maybe for you, I think my colleagues Michelle and Anatole will get the presentation available, upload, and also Valentino uploaded on the platform of these teams.
We'll also make sure that we, just for this round, I think we will also send the presentation as well as a reminder to join the Teams platform. That way it'll encourage everybody to join.
Okay, perfect. I think that way, so you can digest and also read the presentation and get the message. And so for the next sort of Thursday office meeting, you can also raise questions or provide comments. I see Ellen from UNESCO API office raised the hand. So please, the floor is yours. Ellen.
Thank you, Fang, and thank you, team, for the presentation and the guidance you have provided. I just have a quick question regarding
your connection cut a little bit. Please, if anybody has their camera on, please turn it off for the meantime. We'll turn it on all back on for the group photo at the end. Thank you. Go ahead again, Ellen.
Hello, Ellen. The connection is not good.
Ellen, feel free to write if we can't hear you. We will read out on your behalf if needed.
Mm. Yeah, I think it's very poor connection, Ellen. If you can hear us, I think Anatole made a very good suggestion. You just put down the question or comments, and so we can respond. Yeah. Okay.
But otherwise, we're very aware that this is a lot of information at once. So feel free to take your time to reflect, send us questions, make good use of the Teams platform link that will be sent to you. The World Heritage Center, the field offices, the Category 2 centers, we're all part of the Microsoft platform as well. And so someone will always be around to answer you, or so I hope. And if anything arises, never hesitate to reach out. We're also all here to help you throughout this exercise. And as Fang said, if you want to keep your questions for the next office hours in about 2 weeks from now, very welcome to do so as well, and we'll happily answer the questions then.
Mm-hmm.
Now we have a question from Ellen. If we could offer an example of good practice for inclusion on diverse stakeholders and community groups. Yes.
It might be best if we consult with our the other units who have gone through the third cycle, as they would have more relevant and more recent examples. So I think we can get back to you most likely after the meeting, unless anybody has any insight at the moment.
Yeah, thank you, Michelle. I think that's exactly what I'm thinking. In particular, the question I think is of relevance also for African unit. So we also have at the center level, we also have the cross region and cross unit sharing of information, since there are already 2 regions in conducting the exercise for Arab states and Africa. So we will search for some good practice in that perspective. Thank you, Alan.
And as a general point as well, I know that many properties have, through one way or another, a consultation mechanism with local communities and various stakeholder groups, and it's a very good opportunity as well to run some of the questions of the questionnaire, or the entire questionnaire if you want, by them as well, to have additional inputs for the question. So where consultation mechanisms already exist and are enshrined in practice or guidance or law, this is a great opportunity as well to share the questions well ahead of time and gather inputs and feedback on it, and integrate it as you fill it out.
Okay, now Valentino, you have the floor. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much, Fang. Just would like to tell to share with you what experience we had in Africa region, where it's based on this. I will strongly recommend national focal points and world site managers to work within with local communities and all people involved in the safeguarding of the site. Something which is very important and national focal point should be in mind that, as Fang has mentioned very earlier, that this exercise is a state party driven exercise, which means that there is more implication of the state parties, especially you as national focal points. And we will strongly recommend, I will strongly recommend personally, that within sanitary conditions which allowed you to do so, to host 1 or 2 national workshops with your site managers, and at some point to fill in together the questionnaire, where you will have also a lot of synergies between site managers and a lot of common questions that might come to you and as national focal points. And you will be, as mentioned Anatole earlier, it's like a training of trainers approach. So you will be faced also while filling your part, section 1 of the questionnaire. The site managers also have related questions like synergies on convention, etc. So I will strongly recommend you also to work within, when the conditions permits, to have host national workshop, and you can still invite us, field catalog centers, in case you have any additional question during the workshops, and to share this information with us. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Valentino. Now I see Masanori. So Masanori Nagawaka from UNESCO Prampan office.
Yes, thank you so much. This is Masanori, calling from UNESCO office in Phnom Penh. Thank you so much for the great presentation, and all participants active questions and participation. Just a few remarks. One is, from my experience of first and second cycle, it is actually the usually ministry culture and site managers at World Heritage sites who should be fully involved in this cycle, because they are the ones who know the best about their World Heritage site situation, and also cultural, all cultural, status in their country. So that's number one. And number two, like us, field officers can be of your help to organize any national workshops if necessary, so that you should, everyone should contact field offices for how such a workshop can be organized. Number three is about money. I've heard that some colleagues from state parties expressed their needs for the financial assistance, and Fen was suggesting to look for the international assistance. But according to our international assistance, of course, if this is from $5,000 up to 30,000, the request has to be made each year by 31st of October. But to take a look at the first deadline for the submission, this online survey, and also at the final survey submission, it's not really matching each other. Meaning, if you really need money, I don't think International Assistance Fund will be of your help. By the time you receive money, the deadline of an online application, this survey, has to be already met. So you may wish to think about something, some other opportunity to receive or to secure the money. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Masanori, for your comments. I think these are very important points. Although we have, I think back to your third point on this international assistance, although we have this mechanism or this international assistance available from the World Fund, you are right. The timeline and also the processing is also quite time-consuming. In view of the fact that the periodical reporting exercise is mainly the, I say, the prime responsibility of the state parties, we said Article 29, and the reporting, it's a self-assessment exercise, I call it, and this should be also part of your daily management by the responsible ministries, departments, or agencies at the national level, or even at the site level. So the funding support, I think it can be a possibility, but whether it's really needed, or I think in terms of reporting, in terms of gathering information, I think you have to think that from your work plan perspective. That's the reason we are doing this webinar exercise. I did one last June with all the prominent delegations in Paris. We did one side event during the World Heritage Committee in Baku. So it's a way of sensitizing the national authorities as well as site management to get into this exercise. It's also a way of planning that you have to foresee some, I call, small amount of seed money to do this exercise. And it's also a treaty obligation by the state. So I think that is quite clear. Any other comments or questions?
Feng, just quickly before we go to the next question,
yeah.
I wanted to address the question in chat about what about the meetings between national focal points and their site managers within a state party? Does it have to go through Microsoft Teams, or can it be done through any other platform? Very briefly, how the national focal points meet with their site managers is entirely up to you. Our goal is to make sure that we give the information and resources necessary to the national focal points. For the site managers, the national focal points have the initiative to approach them however they would like. So if you decide to do it through Zoom, if you decide to do it through Skype or Teams, for us, it doesn't matter. We just want to encourage you to have that dialogue with your of course, within respectable sanitary, reasonable environment, right? We don't want to get each other sick.
Okay, thank you, Michelle. So now the floor goes to Mr. Tanzan Om from Myanmar. Sir, you have the floor. Thank you.
Firstly, I greet the good afternoon, all of the participants and all of the mentors from the UNESCO. So I have one understanding. I have already involved in the periodic report writing 1 for the 2010. Right now, what I understand, most of the question and application are so broad and developed within the framework of the 10 years. So I would like to suggest one thing is in UNESCO website, for the nomination dossier concern, those who are inscribed the World Heritage Site, we have already available. And also state of conservation report, those who country submitting, all the information are available in the World Heritage Site. So right now we are in the third cycle. So previous 2 cycle report, we have to be understanding, we have to know reference for those who are, we can get in the UNESCO website, it's available or not. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, okay, thank you. I just quickly get something and then get to Valentino. Now at the World Heritage Center webpage, we have one periodical reporting subsection, which is dedicated by country. And I think because I said I did this in the past 20 years on this exercise, even for the first cycle, we have made available the information collected with a summary attached to each state party, if it's site-specific information, also under the site. So I think that information is available at the World Heritage Center webpage. I think it's also open for public. For the current cycle, my colleagues already been working on this, on streamlining the information available for the questionnaires. So I pass the floor to Valentino. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Fang. I have missed the one part of the communication because I have to log out and log in. For the questionnaire, after the end of the submission in July 2021, we will have also this information, which will be, is what we call the sole summary. It's going to be under the section, the countries profile on the World Center site, and for each site, there will be also the short summary, unless this will be made public unless the state parties state otherwise. But can you, if there is another point that I have to talk, but the first part I have not here, is it possible to make it quick? Give me a quick summary.
I can do it. Essentially, it was about pre-filling and information, the previous information submitted and currently accessible on the World Heritage website. Will they have access to this previous information to fill in the current cycle?
Yes, in some point, for example, for site managers where you have the full chapter related to factors affecting the properties, they will be able to see what response has been given previously during the cycle. So when they will fill part of this chapter, they will know they can have this information available. This is being said that for the time being, there is no access to the previous questionnaire in full, but we are trying to make this happen, and hopefully by the end of the year. But in case you would like to have access to your previous questionnaire, please just send a message either on the Teams chat or just send an email through the wh-periodicreporting email that I think that Michelle has provided and Frank has provided you several times. But just send us a message so that we can download it and send it to you in form of Word or PDF. Thank you.
Perfect. I think, thank you. That's very useful. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Any other?
We have received a question in the chat from Sanjay Kumar from Malaysia, who asks whether we can submit an email for the second officer in charge for the periodic reporting and the communications platform. So we can give access to up to 2 national focal points per state party, and it is one single site manager per property, regardless of whether this property is for one site, is a serial property, is a serial transnational property. It's always only one person who can do the data entry. If you have more national focal points than what has been indicated so far, please let us know. Send us an email with the full contact details, and we will make sure that they're included on the platform and in future meetings. And there was a second part to this question, which was with regards to section 2 of periodic reporting. Will site managers have a different link to fill in the periodic reporting, or will it be the same link? If Valentino will correct me if I'm wrong, but the national focal points and the site managers each receive an individual invitation. This gives them access to the specific sections that are relevant to them. This is everyone is in the system nominally, and they get access only to what is relevant to them. So as national focal points, you will have access to section 1 for your country and to every single World Heritage property that you will need to validate. And as a site manager, if you log in, you will only have access to the questionnaire for your specific property. Valentino, am I correct?
I think this is fully correct. Site managers only access their section, which is on the site, and national focal points has access to the section 1 where they need to fill, and also they can see what's been filling. They can see the all sites relevant to the country. So fully correct.
Yeah. Thank you both. I think it's very useful. Now I think we're almost at the 2 hours, and I hope that this presentation and also question answer session helped you to have a better understanding about the third cycle of periodical reporting for the Asia Pacific region. I think the key information provided on the training materials, resource materials, could be useful for you to organize your exercise at the national level. And also we encourage you also to translate those materials into national language versions to help the site managers. With that, I think a last suggestion by that we shall have a group photo of this warming up session for the launch of periodical reporting. So Valentino, can you tell us what to be the specific way of getting a group photo, although we are in a virtual reality?
I would just suggest that everyone turn on the camera, and then Anatole or Michel, I think you have them. You can just make a print screen, and then this will be the way we can make it. And we have a large gallery view, so that we can
Perfect.
Have
yeah.
many of us.
Okay.
Okay,
yeah,
let's do that.
So everyone turn on the camera. Masanori, I didn't see you. I just want to see you. Okay, very good. Who's Uri? Where are you from? Okay, Lahmet.
Phone, it's Roland here. I think Suresh from Nepal has written a question in chat by asking in the second cycle reporting, they was mentors. In this cycle, is that the role mentors or?
I said through the exercise, yeah, we will do also the mentoring exercise, but to be selected. So I think, yeah. Okay. So now, who is taking the camera? Valentino.
So I've taken a screenshot. If Anatole and maybe someone else wants to.
Krista there, and yeah.
But we
are having everyone.
I think we have most everyone. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect.
So if you want to smile, please smile now. This is the time.
Yeah. Okay. I think. Oh, we do this way.
I think it should be good. I'll.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. Now, last point of information is that for the launch of the exercise, we'll do a web news on World Heritage Center web. And also we'll publish a video message from the director of the World Heritage Center, also to be uploaded on our webpage. So it's a pity that normally we should do something in conjunction with the World Heritage Committee session, but this year is so special, so we stay in this sort of a virtual reality. Wish everyone a really happy, a pleasant stay at your place, and also stay safe. So thank you very much for your active participation. We will continue with all our Teams meeting or online chat. Thank you. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.
See you soon.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Secretariat.